Netflix just released one of the most controversial documentaries of the year. It's called Louis Theroux's Inside the Manosphere, and it dives into a part of the internet that millions of young men are watching every single day. It's podcasts about money, masculinity, dating, power, and according to the documentary, this world is dangerous, it's toxic, even radicalizing men. But after watching the entire documentary, something didn't sit right with me.
What would you say is the message?
I coach boys how to make money,
Oh, this is a nice spot.
how to be outside the system, how to be proper guys.
As the deeper Louis Theroux got into this world, the more complicated the story becomes. And there's one moment in the documentary that genuinely surprised me. A moment that completely changed how I looked at the whole Manosphere conversation. We'll come back to that in a minute. But first, we need to understand what this world actually is. Louis explores a network of influencers, often referred to as the Manosphere. This is a loose online community made of podcasts, YouTube channels, and social media creators who talk about things like masculinity, dating, self-improvement, money, status.
The appeal has proved irresistible to hordes of young fans. 15 is probably like your main demographic.
No, it isn't.
They hear that content, they think it's acceptable.
What have I done? I'm doing it for money. I don't care about
The morality of it.
Some of these creators position themselves as mentors for young men. They encourage their audience to work harder, go to the gym, make money, and become more confident. But others push more controversial ideas. Some argue that modern relationships are broken, and others claim society has turned against men. And many of these personalities have built massive audiences by saying things that provoke strong reactions online. But here where the story gets interesting, because the Manosphere didn't suddenly appear on TikTok or YouTube. It actually started a long time before social media even existed. The origins of the Manosphere go back more than 20 years. So in the early days of the internet, there were forums where men discussed dating advice, confidence, and relationships. And some of these communities focused on self-improvement, but others focused on pickup culture. And over time, certain ideas from these forums spread across blogs, podcasts, and eventually social media. And once platforms like YouTube and TikTok appeared, the movement just exploded. Clips from podcasts started going viral, influencers gained huge followings, and suddenly, what used to be a niche internet conversation became a global debate.
Do you consider yourself a misogynist?
I love women and actually understand them.
You think you know better than they do?
They want a guy that can lead them and dominate them.
But here's the real question. Why are millions of people watching this content in the first place? Because the real reason might not be what most people think, and that's something the documentary only briefly touches on. Let me ask you something. Why do you think millions of men watch Manosphere content? Is it because they're angry? Is it because they're misogynist? Or could it be something deeper? A lot of young men today feel like the rules of life have changed. Dating has changed, relationships have changed, social media has changed how people connect. And many men feel like nobody's really talking about the struggles. There's also increasing evidence that loneliness among men has risen dramatically in recent years. Some men feel invisible, some feel rejected, and some feel like society only values them if they're successful. So when someone online says, "I understand your problem, and here's how the world really works," that message can be incredibly powerful, even if people don't agree with everything being said. But here's the part that surprised me the most while watching this documentary, because later on during one of the interviews, something becomes very clear. Behind all the controversy, there's actually a massive business model. Many of these influencers featured in Louis Theroux's Inside the Manosphere aren't just content creators, they're business people, and controversy can be an extremely powerful marketing strategy. Think about it. If someone says something shocking online, people react, people argue, people share the clip. The video spreads everywhere, and once someone builds a huge audience, that attention can be monetized. Many influencers in this space sell things like online courses, private communities, coaching programs, exclusive memberships. Some even run mastermind groups where followers pay thousands just to learn about business and lifestyle strategies. So the viral content you see online is often just the top of the funnel.
Talk about misinformation on the internet. This is what they're talking about.
Behind the scenes, there's an entire industry built around monetizing attention. But there's another factor that fuels this entire ecosystem, and that is the algorithm. Social media platforms reward content that keeps people watching, and controversial content keeps people watching. If someone says something outrageous, people argue in the comments, they share the video, they react to it, they create response videos. The algorithm sees all that engagement and pushes the content even further. So in many ways, the internet itself encourages more extreme opinions, not just in the manosphere, but across politics, culture, and online debate in general. And once someone realizes that controversy equals attention, it becomes very tempting to push the boundaries even further. But this brings us to another important question. Was the documentary itself completely fair? Now, this is where the debate really begins, because while Louis Theroux Inside the Manosphere highlights some of the most controversial personalities in this space, some critics argue that it might not show the full picture. So, for example, did the documentary focus mainly on the most extreme voices? Did it ignore parts of male self-improvement culture that are actually positive? Because the internet are also full of creators encouraging men to work hard, exercise, and improve their lives, such as my channel. But those creators rarely make headlines. The more controversial figures do, and controversy is what attracts attention, even in documentaries. So some people believe the film exposes a dangerous online movement, and others believe it oversimplifies a much more complicated issue. Which brings us back to the question we started with. At the beginning of this video, I asked whether these influencers are actually the problem, or if something bigger is happening in society. After watching Louis Theroux Inside the Manosphere, I think the answer might be actually both. The Manosphere didn't appear out of nowhere. It grew because millions of people were willing to listen, and whenever large groups of people start following a movement, it usually means something deeper is happening beneath the surface. Maybe it's frustration, maybe it's loneliness, maybe it's confusion about modern relationships, or maybe it's simply the internet amplifying extreme voices like it always does. But one thing is clear, this conversation about masculinity, relationships, and identity isn't going away anytime soon. If anything, it's getting bigger. But now I'm curious, what do you think? Is the manosphere helping men or making things worse? Let me know in the comments, because this might be one of the most important debates happening on the internet right now.